Surviving Compton, Michel'le, Dr. Dre, and Suge Knight on Lifetime, which is their best biopic that they've done by far. Probably because they actually had the permission this time to do it, and they had the help of Michel'le to tell her story. I do believe that part of the story was a little over exaggerated, but I do believe that nonetheless the story was told in a way to get it across to the audience that it was looking for, which is the regular Lifetime audience, which is women who have either been hit or their programming is snapped. It's people who've been molested, people who have been kidnapped, those type of stories. So I do think that they probably put on a little bit much for that audience to probably send a message for those people who are victims of domestic violence to, overcome, get help, leave the relationship, and all that good stuff that Lifetime usually tells in their normal movies, their original movies. So it's pretty much the story of Dr. Dre and Michel'le, and it's about how she was pretty much she was pretty much there from the inception of the NWA, because she was in the group that Dr. Dre was in before they even became NWA, and she pretty much chose between him and Eazy-E because both of them liked her in the beginning, and she chose Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre pretty much got jealous once she got her first record deal, because before she got her record deal, they were and they were NWA. She was pretty much just like a little sister to everybody and a girlfriend to Dr. Dre. She was cleaning up after him, cooking, and fetching meals for him. And that's pretty much the extent of what she was doing, even though she had sung one hook on a song for them before they became NWA, when that was a different group. So with that, pretty much Dr. Dre got jealous because she, had became her own artist, because Eazy-E allowed her to do her own records. He told her to write her own songs, and she began writing songs about her experience pretty much with Dr. Dre, because that was pretty much her first love. At that point is when he started beating her, or hitting her at least, and it paints a totally different picture of who Dr. Dre was in Straight Outta Compton to who he was in Surviving Compton, which really should have just been Surviving Dre, because the way they made it seem like it was that he beat her behind. So it was really, really sad to see a lot of it, because she came in, she was telling about how she should have left at certain points and she just couldn't, which I understand, because I had been in a bad relationship, not an abusive relationship, but I had been in a bad relationship, and throughout that whole relationship, once things got bad, I was just sitting there waiting for the person that I knew in the beginning to come back, that good guy that I always knew. And I was waiting and waiting and waiting. I ended up waiting like 5 years for this guy, and he never came back. So I finally told myself, like, you need to leave, like, you need to get out of here, you gotta leave Dallas and go somewhere else. And that's how I ended up moving to Houston and starting on my broadcast journey from getting my degree and stuff. And so I understand why she stayed. She stayed a little bit longer than I thought she would have stayed, because I think she ended up with him for 10 years or something like that, or it was really close. It was like at least 8. But she stayed for a very long time. Her mom and grandma told her when she was a little kid that, men are going to beat you. It's inevitable. You just have to take it, grin and bear it. And I don't think that, back then, I believe is the time where it's still kind of today, but back then was where they were pretty big on, I'd rather have a piece of a man than no man at all. And a man really defined, who you were. So staying with a man, or having a man at least, was very important. And I don't think it would have been too hard for Michel'le to have a man, because she was pretty back then. The thing that I didn't understand why they didn't get to was, they got through her relationship with Dre. They got through her relationship with Suge, but they didn't show the nose change, which, to my understanding, Dr. Dre broke her nose either between 2 and 5 times. And because he broke her nose so many times, she had to get the nose surgery, which I didn't know. I thought she had just got it because of vanity, but she actually got it because she said it was crooked before he was hitting her, but, she probably wouldn't have got the surgery. So with him breaking it, that's how she ended up getting the surgery, which caused her to have that collapsed nose look that she has now. So now she said, the Dr. Dre was going to, he was threatening to sue Lifetime. Well, not Lifetime. He was threatening to sue Sony, which is the parent company, for Lifetime, and Michel'le pretty much said, "I dare him to," because there were so many witnesses that, if he tries to sue, I can bring out like as many witnesses as possible to pretty much shut that down. And the thing that I hated about watching this movie, other than him hitting her, was the fact that, according to this movie, so many people saw him hitting her and nobody did nothing. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching with my husband. I'm like, you know what? There's a guy that, I knew the character he was playing was Ice Cube, right? Now, I was joking when I said this, but I was kind of thinking, like, you telling me that Ice Cube could fight Debo, or Craig could fight Debo over hitting Debbie and Friday, but Ice Cube couldn't fight Dr. Dre over hitting Michel'le, and that's supposed to be his play little sister and stuff like that. And I was joking when I said it, but in actuality, all those people sat there and watched her get beat up and talk too crazy, and nobody stood up to this guy. Like, that's just crazy to me. These are supposed to be like rappers. Now they might not have been as hardcore as they were like setting themselves up to be, but the fact that all these people saw him beating her, and as she said, she has witnesses. I cannot believe that nobody stood up to Dr. Dre or hit him back for her or something, or, just took up for her. It pretty much showed kind of like Easy E. Like, at one point, he kind of called her and told her, "Look, Dre's on his way home. He drunk. He mad. You need to leave before he get there." And that's when she said she started self-medicating. And when she took the pills before he got there, she pretty much was cool once he got there because she was numb to the pain. Jerry Heller stepped in at some point because I think she had found out she was pregnant when she was on tour with MC Hammer. And, when she found out she was pregnant and she had told Jerry or whatever, he tried to stay in the room with her and say, I'm not going to leave you while he's here because, I don't want him to hit you. And pretty much at that point is when Dr. Dre said, if you wasn't pregnant with my baby, I'd beat you up. So it was a lot going on. And then finally in comes Suge Knight. Now, Suge Knight came in like a knight in shining armor, and I really believe this part of the story because I know guys like this who will come in and like try to do stuff like little sweet stuff and nice stuff to kind of get you away from the guy you with because they really want to talk to you. I've had that happen to me, so I know like there are guys who will, they'll play friends with your boyfriend, but all the while they still want to talk to you and they could care less about how you feel about it at the end of the day if he wins you. And I do think that it was a competition type thing with Suge Knight at one point for him to get Michel'le because after he fell out with Dre, I think that it was, one of those things where he was like, I got your girl. And I do think he did woo her to, get her because it was so many rumors going around about how she was a toss-up and, she was a groupie or whatever. And how she shouldn't have went with Suge Knight, even though it was a while apart before she got with Suge Knight. And her the kids are 10 years apart. So it's not like she jumped straight from being with Dr. Dre to being with Suge Knight or anything like that. Well, they straight, yeah, but not, within a couple of days. But, at one point it was like Suge came once Michel'le was, trying to find Dr. Dre, and he had pretty much just disappeared for 3 days. And she didn't, the lights went out. She didn't have food. She didn't have diapers. She didn't have nothing. And I was just thinking, like, who was getting paid? Like, she had an album out. She was performing. She was touring. Where's her money to where she don't have light bill money? She don't have diaper money. She don't have food money. I just thought that was so crazy. So if it is true, then Dr. Dre was a very controlling guy. But Suge Knight came in with groceries and diapers and everything, for Michel'le. And at one point, pretty much, he got arrested for fighting the night that Tupac died. Now, like I said, I think that the story was exaggerated because of what the movie was about, which is surviving domestic violence. But it also was a biopic, or biopic. And she was telling a story. However, there was a scene where Suge Knight was talking to Tupac crazy. And I don't believe that. Now it could be true. However, I've seen plenty of interviews with people from Death Row who said that the only person that Suge did not talk crazy to was Tupac. And I'm a really big Tupac fan, so I'm just sitting there like, did he really talk to him like that? Like, did he really talk to him crazy like that? Because I remember, like, before this movie even came out, hearing that Suge was mean, he was crazy, and all this good stuff, but never to Tupac, because Tupac wouldn't take it. Now, the part that I did believe was when she was getting ready to leave Dre. Well, after she had left Dre, because he no, he got engaged and came to her house after he got engaged, like a couple of days before his wedding, and he was telling her like, "Hey, Tupac is going to be leaving Death Row for Aftermath because he had already left Death Row and he was, starting up Aftermath, which is his own label, and this was days before Tupac died." And so I was just thinking, like, I remember, like, this was like, what, 96 when Tupac died? I remember people saying that Suge Knight had set up Tupac for whatever reason. And then it started hitting me, like, I think he said that I think they were saying that Suge Knight set up Tupac because he was going to leave Death Row. And I think that was the reason that they were saying that Suge Knight had Tupac killed. And that's how he ended up not getting shot at all. And Tupac ended up getting shot like 6 times or something like that. So that part I did believe of the story. I believe most of the story. I just didn't believe the part where Tupac got cussed out. But then on top of that, they had like the true Hollywood story or whatever you call it of Michel'le after the movie was over, and some of the scenes from that did not match up with the movie. Also, they showed Tupac dying on the news, but Suge Knight was sitting on the couch on his love seat with Michel'le, and that didn't make no sense to me, because how could he be in two places at one time? We all know he was in the car with Tupac when Tupac got shot. We all see the pictures of him looking like real scared and crazy. However, he's on the couch in the movie, so that was a little odd to me. But it is what it is. Other than that, I thought it was really neat they had Tashina Arnold in there, because when she said Tashina's name, I wasn't sure that was who she was talking about. But then when they did the thing at the end, the show afterwards, it did show that it was Tashina Arnold, and they were pretty cool friends. And I thought that was neat because around the Good Time of Death Row, Tashina Arnold was actually on Martin, and so I was kind of wondering, because we all know that Tashina Arnold can sing. I was wondering why she never got on any of those, albums with NWA or Death Row back in the, was it Ruthless Records or Death Row back in the day? Because we knew she could sing and she was Michel'le's friend, so she could have got on. I thought she could have at least got on the record since she was able to sing. But at the time, I guess she might have been pursuing her acting or whatever. So that was pretty cool. Other than that, like Suge Knight hit her one time. He told her to say that they were playing football. I mean, it was like really silly, but she did say that. He said that because she was too small, he wasn't going to hit her again, and that was about it. But I haven't seen a lawsuit yet from Dr. Dre. I love the memes that were going around. I love the when they were talking about, that's why they call it Beats by Dre, which I thought, Lil Mo said that a while back on Hollywood Divas, and so I had already heard that. I feel like they were stealing jokes, but it's all good. I mean, I'm glad that the story got out. I'm glad that people are learning more about him. We we learned more about his wife, because everyone said that she knew about Michel'le. And with the timing of when he got engaged and stuff, it does kind of coincide with him her knowing about Michel'le, because it was 2 months after she got out of rehab, and they had been together for so long. It's inevitable that she wouldn't know about Michel'le, especially back then. So I thought it was a pretty good movie. At the end, I could have did without her singing at the end. It was kind of weird. I didn't really understand that, but it did kind of go with her, doing her Overcome story. I'm glad that she is working on the album. I know she's working on a book to go along with this. I just think they did a really, really, really good job. The small little inaccuracies that I saw, I didn't really think that they took away from the movie, but I did feel like they could have gave us more of the good times of the relationship, because to me it would have made sense to show the good times, because they had to have some. I saw them at holiday parties on YouTube. I saw, interviews with them and stuff. And, at some point she was in love with this guy. And there was something that he did to make her fall in love with him to where she stayed for so long. And all we saw was pretty much bad time after getting beaten, after getting beaten, after getting beaten. And we never really saw a good part of their relationship that made any sense as to why she was staying. And I just felt like her whole story is not just getting beat every day. The story, I mean, of course they didn't have time to put everything in, but her story was more than just her getting beat. At least that's what I think. So, I mean, if I'm like grading it, it's still an A. It's still an A paper. It's still an A movie. But I just felt like they could have gave us a little bit more positive content, because at one point it did sound like he was just pretty much bashing Dr. Dre. And I mean, to be honest, I feel like if they would have gave, not Michel'le, but they would have put Michel'le in Straight Outta Compton for like 4 or 5 lines, they could have avoided her doing this whole movie. But the fact that they didn't put her in at all is kind of making me feel like, of course, it's true. Because why else would Dr. Dre not putting his girlfriend throughout the whole part of NWA in the movie? I think it might have been one scene where either she was on the tour bus or she was at the party. But it really wasn't like, showing him and her as a couple. So I just feel like, he definitely should have put in the movie, especially if this is true, that they were together all this time, which it seems like they were. So, I mean, that's one thing. The other thing, I can't even remember no more. I hate that he whooped her. I hate that they didn't stand up for her. I hate that they didn't put the scene with her getting her nose job. The part with Suge, I mean, I liked that because she came back in and, she told him what it was. And then she found out she was fake married to him. But he was paying her $30,000 a month. Like, man. But yeah, pretty much that was Surviving Compton. It's not really a review or nothing, but it was just, really like my thoughts on watching it. I thought it was a really good movie. Kudos to Lifetime for that. They on their comeback trail for the Aaliyah movie. And what was the other movie they did that was terrible? They did another movie that was like horrible. And it wasn't just Aaliyah. They did one right before that. But anyway, pretty much, yeah, y'all did good job, Lifetime. And that's that. All right. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Bye, y'all.